I'm Trek with two Ks. Hola, hola, buenos dias, buenas noches, buenas tardes, G and G's. My name is Trek with two Ks, and this is Trek Live. And so I am running way late. Um, way late. So, technical difficulties to a degree, but then like I was supposed to have my homeboy Nib come on, and this is when I was telling y'all about who had just went out to Hong Kong for the conference, and uh, due to his work circumstances, he was running extra late, so yeah, he couldn't make it, and I was pushing the show back from the regular time in order to get him to come through and explain his experience um, in Hong Kong while he was at the conference, just some of the other stuff that he was seeing while he was there. But nonetheless, I'm here now, and we are going to work to catch up later this week. If not, it'll be next Monday. So, like I was telling y'all last episode live stream, I'm debating about, well, at this point I'm not debating about it anymore. I think I'm just going to end up moving back into doing more interview stuff. Speaking of which, unabashedly, I say this episode is brought to you by CJ the Smart Guy. He is a certified CPA, which is kind of repetitive to say certified, but after pre CPA, but nonetheless, he's a tax specialty guy. He knows what he's doing. In full disclosure, he is my actual CPA. And the man is on the move right now. Like every time I talk to him, he either coming from someplace or about to go someplace. Now, those of you who know I've been in this space for a hot minute, and there's definitely a point when I would argue about this IRS tax stuff for sure. But for where we are now, I will definitely say if you are in this American jurisdiction, you want to cross your T's and dot your I's, because them folks have long memories and long reach. So, cross your T's and dot your I's. Not saying you got to use the person that I use, but hopefully you are crossing T's and dotting your I's. I will have him on. I'm not exactly certain when, but I'm definitely looking forward to have him come on because, he knows what he's doing. He's been doing this tax thing for a bit, and he's been in it long enough to see like how things have transitioned from like Obama Trump era to where we are cycling back to the Trump part now. But nonetheless, I got some things that caught my attention when I poked my head into Twitter, and hopefully y'all got some thoughts on these things too, and we will go from there. What is going on? All right. So I downloaded this program on my laptop that's like a security thing. And the funky part about it, which I didn't know until literally earlier, a couple minutes ago, there's no like off switch for it. And it works great regardless of what it does as far as like, protecting for online surfing and malware and like key encryption, and it like blocks key logger stuff. But and I think I understand why they made it where it doesn't have a off, like a actual manual, like you can turn it off feature outside of uninstalling it. I just didn't have the time to do it today. And so now here I am dealing with this going like, damn it. I realize how it's affecting how Restream works. in addition to just the whole system itself. But nonetheless, we're gonna still push forward. Yeah, mic is on. All right. Just wanted to make sure if y'all are out there, again, sorry for being so late. Hit it up with a one, uh, hit up a like. That'd be helpful too. And on the YouTube side, I'm not seeing the comments like bar, but like the live chat. I'm not seeing it do anything right now. It's even like the restream thing that like comes in the beginning, but whatever. Let's just jump into these different things because I got to go deal with that W2 very early in the morning. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Hope everybody had a good Monday. Hopefully it was a productive Monday, not a stressful Monday, or at least a productive over busy Monday. This weekend, total side note, unrelated to crypto at all. Went to the gun range, took out the 300 blackout, and I've had this joint for a while. Finally got to shoot it. Man, and I bought a scope, a new scope, specifically for that one. And my homeboy that I went with, he had he made what is that? The AR-15, and it's like a 12-inch barrel. When I tell you that joint ring, oh, if you into the firearm stuff, you understand like uh the the lore of being at the range, or just, and I'm not over here saying like I'm Rambo or like super soldier. Not saying that at all, but I do find when I look at, I'm a northern city boy who you could have never told me like here's how I'd be at 45. Like I got a yeehaw truck the other day. I'm over here doing the whole like 2FA thing, and I camp way more than I expected. And I'm not talking glamping. I'm talking like it could be raining outside. I could still pitch a tent, start a fire, that whole shebang. Would have never in a million years thought I'd be that guy. But here we are, right? So for as techie as I am, I'm also like over there in the natural resourceful stuff. It's a weird place to be. I tell you, it is a weird place to be when I look back on it at times. But nonetheless, we're gonna jump into these Twitter things that caught my attention. So another state, Ohio, is saying, hey, we're trying to work on establishing a Bitcoin reserve. This is going to lead into another post that I've seen by what's her name, Lyndon. I'm probably saying her name wrong. Sorry, Lynn Eldon. If you're on Twitter and you follow X amount of the financial folks, she's definitely been making her presence known, and she's really been all over the place as far as doing interviews and stuff. But I'll get to her in a minute. So basically, Justin, and this is Watcher Guru. They be definitely watching everybody's pockets, and they be paying attention to stuff. Again, uh, Ohio State Representative Steve Demetriou says, I'm working hard on Columbus. I'm working hard in Columbus to establish a Bitcoin reserve. So you have more states looking to jump into well, I'm not saying every state, but more states are looking to jump into this. Hey, what's going on, Nerd Up? Um, the Bitcoin Reserve wave. I'm, you know what I'm curious on? How many states at the end of this administration will actually have a reserve? That's where I'm at. How many states will actually have a reserve at the end of all of this? And it's not just gonna be like fluff talk of I was working hard and like, all right, cool, but like, is it gonna take you 4 years, or is it you just on the wave and you trying to sound like you're in? Are you grifting right now? I don't know, because I actually don't know what this person's record is. I'll be honest with y'all on that one. uh I don't even know what's going on in Maryland, and especially considering our proximity to DC. There's a site, I can't remember the site, but there's a site that actually keeps track of like what's going on with the reserve stuff, as far as like who's doing stuff, like what states are doing stuff. And I cannot remember it right now, but at some point I'm gonna have to go look for it. All right, what is going on that is like way down here? I don't understand. All right, part of me as I take a ooh, excuse me, take a sneeze. Sorry about that. Um, so yeah, I'm curious to see how this plays out. How many states are going to jump on the bandwagon, and how many states are going to actually have something official by the end of this administration? And like, whose reserve is, I don't know, like whose reserve is going to be the more important reserve? I don't know if that's the way to say it, but it does have me wondering now that I popped up with another, state senator person saying, "Oh, look, I'm going to do blah blah blah." Okay, like I guess we gonna wait and see, right? Uh, I did not know that. When did that happen? Apparently, somehow I got dropped from the Gentleman of Crypto YouTube channel. I don't know when that happened. That's wild, but it's not wild. That's a lie, because YouTube be doing funny stuff, right? We all know that at this point. So, other story, and this one is why I did the title the way I did it about crypto.com. Again, Watcher Guru throwing it out there. Hey, just in, Trump media signs agreement to partner with crypto.com and launch ETFs. Now, just going through the comments, pretty much everyone was taking this as a like, oh, the signal's in. Like the bat signal is up. We about to have a shit ton of meme coins, something happening, and like it's in. If you're about chasing the bag, if you're about messing around with the meme coins, have fun. Try not to lose your shirt. Try not to be. I mean, you're gonna be a DJ because you're already messing with meme coins to begin with. No smudging. I'm not judging. I understand, right? Like that's a part of the space too. The bag chases is a part of this space too, right? And so I'm just saying, don't lose your shirt. Don't don't Shalom, what's going on? Keyshawn. I'm just saying, like, don't, considering what is going on in this economy. You know what's crazy? Here, okay, let me throw this thought together, right? Arguably, we know that the way the official financial folks, the mainstream folks, the government, spokespeople are talking, that the what's the thing I'm trying to say? The economy is definitely messed up. This whole thing about unemployment being, the number it is versus where's the thing I'm trying to look for? The do not disturb. I just saw it. Right? Um like we know it, but government wise, yo, what's going on, bro? What's going on, Coop? We know that, okay, we have a sense, some of us, and then there's other folks who are paying attention to like other more knowledgeable people on economics and bilateral trade and the different industries and blah blah blah, right? So like we're cross-referencing what those folks are saying, with what the mainstream is saying, with what the government is telling us, like the Treasury person, the Federal Reserve person, Trump's spokesperson, the White House spokesperson, yo, she is like, what's her name from Biden's term? Like, she be saying stuff, and you're just like, wow, you say that with a total straight face. And sometimes she be aggressive with how she be saying stuff. Like, who are you to even say something like that and contradict what I'm telling you is the truth? Yeah, but anywho, so like, we know this, right? Like, we have this sense of yeah, the numbers that they're pushing out, it ain't adding up to what we're seeing in front of us. It ain't adding up to how our paychecks are not covering things the way they used to. It ain't adding up to that. Like, I'm doing more than one side hustle, and like somehow I'm still in the struggle, where it was just the one side hustle. I would just do a couple hours on the weekend of some DoorDash or some Task Rabbit or whatever it was you was doing. Now all of a sudden, it's more than the weekend, or you're doing more than one thing. Yet, with folks seeing that, the things that they are about to push to the public, and because we have this awareness of it's not what they telling us, like us on the every average day person, we're gonna try to find the ways or the opportunities to try to get the lick, try to get the come up. And like, what they talking about doing in Europe, it at the end of this administration. All right, let me put it this in the context if you don't know. So the EU is basically saying, like, they're going to encourage the public to use their savings that they have in banks to invest in the equity sector of the, like, private sector stuff, because they're doing their whole ramp up for um military expansion in regards to supporting Ukraine, right? So they're turning their economy into more of a wartime economy in order to make that thing happen. But they're also about to put in play, um, they're going to change and deregulate some of the financial rules that were meant to protect the people, and just be like, hey, we're going to encourage you, as opposed to doing, like, what is that, bank bail-ins, where they actually just go in the bank and take the people's money. They're going to do a whole thing where it's like, no, we're not going to take your money. We're going to encourage you to give us your money to invest in these different companies, and we're going to change a whole bunch of rules. You're not going to have the same securities that you had before this. This is assuming it really pushes in to them really getting involved in, the hot war situation. We're gonna have our own version. It's not gonna look like that. But I'm sorry. I went off track with that one. Y'all know my mind be all over the place for the stuff that I pay attention to, right? Um, but like, we're going to feel those effects of that happening over here. And in regards to the situation with Trump Media and crypto.com, in my mind, that just seems like we're going to do things over here that is also going to encourage people to find whatever type of investment opportunity they can, to be able to and it's not even stretch the dollar. It's literally, you're trying to get more units because the purchasing power is doing this. So you need more fiat, you need more cash, you need more currency in order to be able to acquire the things that like sustain your life, right? Now, whether you being fancy on sustaining your life or whether you just being bare minimum, either way, you're going to need more of the purchasing power. And some people are going to end up doing more financial debt mechanisms, right? That's where we're going to go. But again, it's not going to be it's not going to be in my understanding, my thought process, it's not going to be forced on us in the way that some folks might argue, like, oh God, the government's gonna come in, Trump's gonna take your money, Trump's gonna do blah blah blah. And then you have like the Republicans like, no, it's the liberals and the Democrats, and they're gonna do blah blah. No, dog, it's all of them. It's all of them screwing us. All of them. But I'm I'm not curious to see how this crypto.com and Trump deal is working out, because it's ETFs, it's derivatives to begin with. Like I told y'all like last week, the story with my uncle calling me about the Bitcoin card thing, and I was just like, like what you gonna spend it on like, boss, what are you gonna do with it? If that's the case, just go to the crypto ATM and get the Bitcoin and just hold it. That's all you got to do. That like, to me, it makes the most sense. In why not get the base thing that it's all based on? But folks are gonna learn. Folks are going to learn at the end of the day. That's the crazy part. After party. What crypto summit after party? Wait, what crypto summit after party? Coop. All right. So moving on from that, we'll see how that play out, because we only 2 months in. Yeah, technically we're only 2 months in on Trump, so we ain't even reached 60 days. Heaven knows what it's gonna look like at day 100. How? Like, what you mean crypto ATMs never work for me? How they don't work? Like, you go, you scan, you put the money thing in, you put your card in. I don't know what. Damn. Okay. Well, I guess I haven't been to an ATM in a minute, because I don't never remember having to scan my license. Yeah, I definitely don't never remember having to scan my license. Okay, so Lynn Eldon, she's a financial I'm not gonna say advisor, but like she definitely does. I don't know the company that she actually works for, or if she just does like private consulting for financial stuff. But again, I want to say like she's been more public. Um, oh, bro, I ain't even look. I'm sorry, I ain't even look. I be like, listen, for as many messaging apps as I have on my phone, I don't have the notifications on because of how many messaging apps are on my phone and then how many groups I'm in. Nah, it gets crazy. So I like when you see me respond, it's because I actively actually popped into, oh, let me see what's going on. Okay, yeah, let me comment on that. Okay, let me. But other than that, like, it would be, my phone would be going off way too much for that. A matter of fact, I think I know the one you're talking about. Because you're Joel. Yeah, okay. I did see those pictures. I did. My bad. I did. Okay. But to this point in regards to Lynn. So she asked a question. Again, I'll be sticking my head into Twitter, see what people are asking, what they're saying, what things catch my attention. And this caught my attention. The question is, what do you think is the biggest structural risk to Bitcoin over the next 5 to 10 years? Remember, Bitcoin's already a preteen at this point, right? And so we at this point where like it's the longest running thing that we're calling a crypto. Um, and we have a lot more development on the local, county, state, federal and international levels, right? Um, you have what's going on with Tether in the Middle East. You have, what's been going on with Bitcoin here in the US as far as Trump saying, hey, I want to do this Bitcoin reserve thing, which is not even going to be solely Bitcoin. It's going to be other cryptos involved in it. You have what's going on in South Korea. You have what's being done in Thailand and Singapore. You have what China's been doing. Like, we're at a point now where the regulatory framework has changed, in particular here in the US, as far as like what is it, Operation Choke Point that was under Biden, and how they let Gensler just run wild on the space. They let that man run wild in order to throttle the development of, let's say, honestly, I think I'm saying this in disregard now of hindsight 2020. I think they let Gensler run as wild as he did for as long as he did because they had to thin the herd of the people who were going to be too early ideals, right? The economic sovereignty, the government can't control us, um the ability to have agency over your own money. I think that the idea was we have to not curdle, but basically cut through and weed out those folks. Like, we need to have more traditional financial institution folks than we do these free thinker folks. And if you look at where we are right now, for the companies that started in 2013, 2012, 2015, 2016, if you look at who's the head of companies, if you look at the changeover of who was the head of a company in 2016 versus who's the head of a company now, look at the companies that were there 2016, 2017 versus who's here now. What happened? Exactly that. That wasn't self-regulation. That was not self-regulate. No, I don't agree with that label. That was not. That was the guided hand was moving, and they did it by intimidation and legal fear tactics. Look at Reggie's situation. Look at Odyssey and how they basically like dragged that whole court case out. Look at what was the one, I forgot the name of the case that I had covered a while ago, where the FBI's lawyers basically lied. The judge called them on it because they told them that they had to freeze the assets for a company because they were doing stuff to like move the assets and blah blah blah. The judge called them on it. What happened? The prosecutors ended up being taken off the case. They put in a new set of lawyers and was like, all right, let's keep it pushing. But nobody on the prosecutor side got held accountable for how they lied. It was, oh, there was a mistake made. We didn't understand that, but you still screwed over the company. You still made it to where the company couldn't function. You're still holding them up in legal limbo. So my point to this is where we are now, knowing what we know, experiencing what we have experienced, and like literally that's just the what 5-6 years of it. Like, if you talk to some of the old heads who were actually selling crypto back in the day when it was like, oh, let me meet you at Lane Meetup, or I forgot the name for the two site, well, the one site, and then it was another site that popped up, I think around like 2017 or 17. But like in those early days, like there's this old, his name right now, but he was selling Bitcoin, like just, he'll meet you someplace in DC and hey, much it is for, market rate, whatever. when the dude, his story, I cannot remember his name right now. He has the crazy story on how his place. They definitely looked to like legally and financially ruin that man. And I think he was in his 50s at the time, or he might have been in his 40s, but they look to ruin that man. And so you have it that like the early folks who were in that 2012, 2011, and they were out there like, all right, I'll give you like 200 Bitcoin for just like $100. I'm making up the number, totally making a number. That's not the accurate thing of it. Those folks have stories on how the government came. Now you get to where we're more, I don't even know if to say we're more technically inclined now than we were back in the day. Because like in this thread, when you read the thread, some people talk about centralization through the mining pool. Some people talk about coordinated centralization through the legal efforts and how the regulatory um, noose or ring will be more tightened because of things like like using AML file, all that stuff. Other folks talk about like what was the other thing somebody said in here? It was um he's being too low. Oh wait, being too high. That's funny. Somebody was making, then like somebody even brought, what was it? It was, what was it? What was, trying to find it. It was definitely earlier today that I looked at. So now there's like X amount of other comments on this. Yeah. So somebody made the point about how, and that's, what is it? Amid Malakan. Wait, what happened? Okay. So he made the point about governments acquiring large quantities for strategic reserves and using them to leverage to control the protocols. And then somebody even was talking about like the government's going after the core devs. Like at this point, when you look at how the different governments have moved, that sounds very reasonable. When you look at how the different financial sectors have moved, where they basically have done, back end deal, they've also done regulatory things to be able to acquire large sums through OTC, methods. Case in point, how Tim Draper got his stuff. He bought his stuff, I think, from the U.S. Marshals. And like, I think the last number I heard is like this government has like either 200 or 2,000. I think it's across multiple agencies. Versus it's all sitting in like one department. But the point being is that for where we are now, I don't know if I would say like what is the biggest um threat, or like structural threat wise, because the legal side counts as a structure, right? Then there's a technical side of it. Then you get into the final three major areas that are structured, and two of those are more about it has to work this way versus well, if I can program it, do this thing with the least amount of like hands in the cooking pot, which is the coding side of it per se, then I don't need to put these artificial things in there, these artificial roadblocks, these artificial choke points, right? When you talk about the regulatory part of it, those are artificial choke points. When you talk about the financial institutions involved in it, those are artificial choke points that are more based on profiteering than it is, let's say, security and protecting the public or protecting the right. And that whole switch of like, oh well, we have to look out for the investor. And it's like I feel like once we start like accepting the label of being investors, like arguably that was part of the downfall part, arguably, because that changes your mentality on how you're looking at the thing, right? Like investor has a different meaning and concept to it, and investor doesn't, in my opinion, roll synonymously with saying economic sovereignty or financial freedom. Now, granted, if you play the game right, quote, as an investor, like, will you have a fair amount of capital? Yes. But does that actually put you in the same boat as having economic sovereignty? I don't think so. At least how I understand economic sovereignty. Maybe somebody out there might have a different um, understanding to it than myself, you know? So, yeah, anybody gets a chance, like, check out her stuff. And I haven't seen any interviews lately, but I also been on this whole anime kick when it comes to YouTube and stuff. So I haven't been paying attention to her interviews like that. It's probably been like maybe the last like 6-7 months, I think. I haven't been paying attention to her interviews like that. But she do, if you are interested in like the market financial stuff, I think she's an interesting person to use. What is going on? No, don't do this to me. What is going on? Oh no, don't do this to me. What okay. I don't know what I did wrong just now, but it's acting all types of funky right now. Nearly had technical difficulties. But anywho, I'm gonna jump onto this next one. Shout out to my stack bros, man. Shout out to the stack bros. Um so uh they posted this thing the other day that caught my attention. Again, sticking my head in, see what it says. So apparently the IMF just recognized Bitcoin as a de facto digital gold. This was posted on the 22nd, and we are on the 24th right now, right? So that was like over the weekend. And this is one of those like, oh, I'm not even gonna say it that way. I was about to get kind of hood with the way I thought of it in my head to say it. Um, in a more professional tone, it's one of those like, here come the grifters. And I say that on the end of, this is the same organization that was publishing its own report on how to tell governments and financial institutions the ways that they should work to throttle, contain, and limit the expansion of crypto related companies within their jurisdiction. So, with that, it's like, here we go. Here y'all go again. Like, here's where we are now. And again, it's the same thought process on, we gotta weed out the folks who are on that liberal, economic sovereignty. We don't want to play. We gotta weed those folks out. We gotta throttle and contain them to where we can get more of the majority traditional thinkers in. The people who are about KYC, the people who are about government um 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 governance, right? We have to get more of those people in the space. Once we figure out like what's enough of what the thing is and how do we intervene in it, that's just my take on it. I could be wrong. Somebody could tell me I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't think I'm wrong though, because when we look at where we are, again, when you look at the international space, when you look at the local space, how many of the people who were here before 2017, company wise, are still here? Now, mind you, yeah, there's at least here in the States, there's X number of companies who were here before 2017, and X number of those companies set out the gate. They was pro government, pro KYC. Case in point, chain analysis. Coinbase, they ended up like changing their tune once they were pushing towards that IPO. And honestly, I think that was the goal from the get-go, which is that we're gonna say all of the good stuff to sound as though we're in sync and alignment with the liberal free thinkers, the money folks who are like, oh, this is gonna be the new blah blah blah, and we're gonna break the traditional financial dynamic. They did all of the talking they needed to do and sell all of the talking points, and then once it got to a certain point, it was like, all right, bet, switch. We about to go public. We about to make bank. And look at where they are now. Look at Brian Armstrong, right? Look at CZ isn't that head of Binance anymore. And remember how they was talking in the beginning. Look at Arthur Hayes. He was one of the most reckless exchange folks out there. He was flat out disrespecting the US government. And look where he at. Like, granted, he not in jail and he ain't served no time, but he still ain't the head of his company. And I think he probably has some kind of exclusion deal that he can't do anything for a bit. Look at I imagine CZ has the same thing. He not even an American citizen, and you've seen how they did him. He served time. Look at God, what's his name? He from back in the day. I can't remember his name right now. He was one of the people who was doing, he was like you would send in the cash, or like you would send in through like PayPal or whatever back in the day, and then like you had to also have the wallet address, and I cannot remember his name right now, and this is like pre 2016. And I actually know the person who was his accountant back then. He went to jail. He's way over there on the side of the space now. Like, you don't see him over here doing interviews and stuff like that. And I cannot remember the dude's name right now, but I have his face. Like, I'm picturing his face. But nonetheless, it's a different thing where it was then to where we are now. Even look at like the content creators in the space. Like, who was around in 2016? Who was around in 2012 that was like talking about this then? Who's here now? Like, that's even worse numbers than the exchange folks. Bruh, house arrest? House arrest? Stop it. Stop. Hey, what's going on, Jump Out Girl? Shout out to the content cousins. First off, house arrest compared to actually going to, I don't know, wait, was I think CZ was in prison because it was federal charges. So it's not jail, it's not house arrest. It's a difference. Just saying, it's a difference. When you're a I want to say Arthur Hayes got to be a multimillionaire. House arrest is a very different thing than when you actually have to go to jail. I don't know whose are y'all doing. Oh, you talking to Jump Out Girls? Okay, they can answer for you. Oh, okay. Thank you, Reggie. So he was federal, yes, but did he go to? The point being is, in my opinion, for how I'm looking at, and this relates again to said, even the reposting that the Stat Bros did for this IMF post. Like, and of course I'm including you. Like, yes, like it still to this day blows my mind how Arthur's deal worked out. Okay, but there was a throttling to get the folks out who were on the like, oh, we're gonna do what we want to do to get the more traditional folks in. That's how I take it right now. And to have the IMF now turn around and be like, oh yeah, like yeah, this Bitcoin thing makes sense. In my mind, that makes it a little bit more scary because it's like we're I don't know to say give a timeline, but like it feels like we're inching closer to where um there will be some level of adoption that will work like, globally across different jurisdictions government wise, but like the way that those of us who are, pre C19, pre class of 17 understood crypto and how things were talked about or how people used it, it is so not going to be the same thing in another 5, 10. Hoodie. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yo, I've had this for a while. I've had this for a while. Um, Lost weight, so it looks better on me now. So yeah. But anywho, um, I was thinking about that when I was reading the Lynn post, and this thing with the IMF. Like again, Bitcoin itself is a teenager practically now, right? And yet we have all of this other stuff going on where the ability to use Bitcoin in the retail space has actually shrank over the years compared to what it was like in like the 2014 to 2016 period. When I tell you like there were a boatload of websites that you could go on and spend Bitcoin on, it's not like that now. So I could only imagine what it's going to look like in another 5 or 10 years. Um, and how it will be quote adopted and amalgamated to work in yes, they are. JFever definitely do. Um to what the quote mass adoption is gonna look like. It's not gonna be what it was back when. All right. I'm an old fart at this point. Like I be thinking about that too. Like as we move further and further into the space and the development and the maturity of the technology, the use case, the understanding, the integration, the growth or the stabilization of the market and the regulatory development, folks like me is just going to be like grandpas, and like we're not even going to be unks. Okay, we're going to be grandpas because it was a different era, a different time. But again, shout outs to the Stack Bros, man. Like I ain't see y'all in a minute. Hope everything is gonna go with y'all. I think this was a very relevant post. I mean, a matter of fact, let me read this to y'all real quick. So the first one is Fiat Archive, right? Says new, the IMF has recognized Bitcoin as a de facto digital gold. The IMF new rules BPM7 add Bitcoin to global money tracking. Like gold or land, if you buy or sell Bitcoin across borders, it's tracked like trading property. So basically, we pocket watching, right? Um, and then Stack said KYC Bitcoin is the only reason why the IMF has admitted and given up on its war against Bitcoin. Sadly, the dumb African puppet rulers who could have gotten ahead by listening to its citizens have now put their nations behind the curveball. I would have been like, comma again. I have a whole thought process too, like the way some of the African development stuff is leadership, folks. But I'm not going to get into that part. Nonetheless, though, thank you, Jump Out Girls, for joining in. Thank you, Coop, for joining in. Reggie, I appreciate you too. I'm seeing the tweets, man, and the posts. Oh, yes. I actually did want to get into your article that you was talking about with Bitcoin as a what did you say? Damn it, hold on. Where is it? Where is it? No. Yeah, you a unk now, but give it another 5 years, bro. You're gonna be granddad. Give it another 10 years. Super granddad. Store of value. There we go. You said Bitcoin is a store of value, and you was comparing treasuries, tips, which I didn't know what tips was until I was talking to my boy Nib earlier. And what was it? Treasuries, tips, gold. If you're still there, I'm curious on how come you didn't include silver as a separate thing from gold, or like just silver and gold. I guess I'll catch up with you another time about it if you see this later on. But it was an interesting post that he did because he does break it down as far as like what the numbers show for over time and like the rationale behind what makes a store of value actually work when you have different financial instruments and they have their own properties in dealing properties and abilities to deal with price volatility and liquidity. So yeah, you can go find Reggie's tweet on that. Well, it's more of an article thing written out, and it like breaks it down as far as the treasuries, tips, gold, and Bitcoin. Okay, so so silver is more volatile than gold, hence gold is better store value. All right, got you. But yo, gold prices is crazy right now because I think an ounce is like 2 and change or 3 and change or something. I was looking at that. No, not an ounce. It's less than an ounce. I'm way wilding. An ounce is like 3 and change right now, and like a 1/10 is like a couple hundred. Not both my sons have. Lord, I guess I'm gonna say congratulations, granddad. Yo, you grandpa now officially, bro. You grandpa now officially. I'm done. Okay. Oh man, you're killing me right now, Coop. You're killing me. It's straight math for those who to argue 2 plus 2. No, listen, like I said, like I was I seen the tweet and then I was like kind of reading through it, and I had to go back over it a couple times because I was like, okay, because you were given the years in the comparison, and my takeaway was the argument to counter Bitcoin as a store of value is the volatility issue. Um, Yo, you know what? At some point, I would like to get you on here so we could like talk about that one. Like I was telling, like I mentioned earlier in the beginning of this. Jesus, I think I'm at an hour. Um, I want to start getting back into the interview stuff and hashing out those conversations with people, especially for the folks who like been here for a minute. And I'm so curious to hear like we talk here and there on stuff, so I already have X amount of idea of how you see things, but I would definitely like to expand and pontificate, as you say, on some of these things. Also, definitely looking forward to see how the smart silver rolls out. Even if my takeaway is just having an ounce of silver, I mean, I can appreciate the precious metals. This is not me giving anybody any type of financial advice. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just some guy who's on it with shades. And I be having my thoughts on stuff. That's it. Do your own due diligence in whatever you put your time and effort into. That's it. But yeah, man. What do you say? And it's patented. Wait, what part? It won't track inflation. It's made right down. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna have to catch with you offline so we could so I could get a better understanding of what you're talking about in the breakdown. It's not just volatility. Oh, okay, got you. It's that part. All right. I will catch up with you so we could then have a conversation online and go from there. But let me wrap up to this last thing. Another part, again, another tweet on Watcher Guru. They are saying that Russia is using Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stable coins for oil trade with China and India to bypass sanctions. So if you have not been paying attention, Tether is making its run as a stable coin within Hong Kong and within X number of the BRICS players. If you don't know who BRICS is, it stands for, what is it? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. What I find even more hilarious about this in particular is that, and if you were paying attention to me back in, what is that, 22 or 23, in doing the weekend crypto, there was a couple of stories where I had covered how Venezuela was using crypto to sell their oil. And then, I think either OFAC or the Treasury, well, OFAC is under the US Treasury Department, but they came in and shut that shit down. And then they turned around and charged the dude. And I don't know for 100% that he wasn't, quote, criminally connected, but when they came in and they told Maduro, like, yo, you can't be doing that, it then somehow they forced the hand and they literally cleaned house with the whole department and then put in somebody who was pro US and shut the whole thing down. Right. And so to see this as the oh man, it's the BRICS is doing something unheard of and no one's ever done this before. It's no, dog, it's been done before. There's a couple of channels that I pay attention to over on the YouTube side of things, where there's this one guy in China that I pay attention to. And it's him and another guy out of Singapore or Thailand. That the guy in China, he talks about the whole thing going on with production development and how the markets are moving over there and how America is missing the mark. This is an American guy. He's an American guy who's a production manager for a company that I believe is back here in the States. But he gives the articles, he makes, here's the connection with this, here's the charts, blah, 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 blah. But one of the things that gets me about how he presents this blockchain crypto technology stuff is he says stuff that's just but that's not how it technically works. It's not private. It's not they can't see the transactions. And he's not even talking about Bitcoin. That's the part that gets me. He's smart on the other stuff. And I've been following him for probably a year or something now. And there's another guy who's out of what's his name? Fushon. Can't remember his name right now, but he does something similar where he's interested and good on the other geopolitical economic things that he's talking about. But then when it comes to the crypto side stuff, it's but that's not how it technically works. It's not hidden. It's not anonymous the way that you're explaining it. It's interesting to see now how there are these international developments between nation states or companies that are doing things on on the global scale. And I swear at some points I feel like we're back at like 2012 for how some people are explaining how. And it's also annoying because they'll say stuff like blockchain, and it's like, all right, but like what blockchain are we talking about right now? Like, and then they'll say things like how um Tether is a blockchain, or they'll say some other like things that just have me just scratching my head. Like, who are you talking to as the technical person? Like, when they're writing up your script, do you ask questions? Or like when you read through these articles and then you surmise the stuff together, like, do you understand how it works? Because X amount of what you're explaining is not how it works. Like, I'm curious on the end of, even in this deal right here, as far as this statement of like BRICS, some of the BRICS countries are using crypto in order to do some of what they're doing as far as this like trading and oil stuff. Who's holding the wallet? Is it the central bank for Russia? Is it the central bank for India? Is it the central bank for China? Or is it the oil company, or the title company that like is doing the business management? Like, this would probably be something I'd have to dig into more. But like, those are the questions that I ask, where it's just like, okay, I know that you can sell this product or service for crypto. That part I already understand. I don't understand who are the players. And this is the issue that I'll be having. And I've said this for a while now, when it comes to between two parties. What? Okay, I'm sorry. So, Theater of the Absurd says you can have a private blockchain between two parties, like Lightning. Like, and granted, that's technically not the same thing, but I mean, you've been able to spin up blockchains like on a simple thing for a minute now. Like, we definitely have been at the one click ability, not like yesterday, but like this has been a couple of years now that you could do that. Now, whether you generate activity on your chain, that's a whole nother different thing. But to my point about this situation in regards to the BRICS using crypto, to be able to to do these oil exchanges, I think it's interesting. I'm also curious on how is the US going to react to it, because they can't bully and push around neither of these countries the way they did to Venezuela, right? You know, it's also interesting. I'm surprised there isn't more bullying going on to El Salvador for how they're pushing and integrating Bitcoin into their um economic system, their financial system. But yeah, like, I'm curious to see how will this look come summer, because if you haven't been paying attention, things is looking kind of spicy right now. And for the people that I have on my radar that I'm paying attention to in the financial sector, in the geopolitical sector, and like, the intel folk sector stuff, everyone's just like, if it happens, like, gas is just gonna go crazy. And apparently we sell more of our gas off than we bring in to our reserves. Like, we're selling our stuff off. So if they try, like, in my small take, remember, random guy in shades on the internet, if the US try to pressure, I it'd be interesting just to see how they would even pressure them. Because in my mind, the only pressure point would probably end up being one of the stable coins. And as far as I know, the big dog on the block right now is Tether. and nobody's trying to mess with circles. Well, not nobody, but it would be kind of dangerous and setting yourself up for failure if you were messing with what's Circle stablecoin again? Anybody on that one? I cannot remember right now, but it would be kind of setting yourself up for trouble if you were like having Circle stablecoin as a major part of your pot to be doing stuff like this in, when the goal of what we're trying to do here as far as the US government is concerned is to like sanction Russia, sideways poke at China, and like wave our finger at India. It we out here doing some, not we, our leadership is out here doing some interesting slash questionable things, because in my mind they still think this is 1990 and the early 2000s. And like I said earlier, we're only technically in 2 months of the Trump administration. Heaven knows what this is going to look like at day 100, assuming, you know, the nobody gets too worked up. But who knows? Like by the end of this week, it could be crazy out here. Yeah, it is. It is. Like it's nuts when you think about it. And the crazy other part of it too is like, if you look at the numbers, I don't remember who he is. I don't pay attention to who the CEO for Tether is. But if you look at the numbers, for as much sanctions as we have put, or as the government has put on Russia, the economy is not slowing down. Like, so it's one of those like, well, what's the point of the sanctions if it didn't do any of what you said it was going to do? Like, what's the point of that? I don't know. I guess I'm not that big of a thinker to understand those type of government moves to, poke at or like sideways bother another sovereign nation state. Like, it is what it is. I don't remember what they had last week. I don't remember. I didn't look like that, so I don't even remember if there was anything last week that actually caught my eye as far as like, oh, this is what they're doing. Okay, that's interesting. Like, I feel like India plays the fence. Like, India is the bag chaser. India is definitely the bag chaser. Like, they trying to get the money on both sides. And the way things look right now, like, we let them, Russia and China let them too. Hey, you want to sell this oil for us? Sure. But you ain't hear us talking about throwing sanctions on India. I'm just saying, like, we not throwing sanctions on India, and they've been selling the Russian oil for a minute. Remember, we're 3 years into the Ukraine situation. Like, let that shit sink in. But anywho, enough of this political business. I got to get out of this. Oh God, look at the time. Listen, y'all, I appreciate y'all tapping in. Thank you very much. I know I'm way later than I usually would have been. Reggie, I'm gonna definitely reach out to you. Coop, again, I guess to say congratulations, granddad. You have graduated from Unc to granddad. Jump out, girls. Appreciate y'all. Theater of the Absurd. Yeah. Thank you for tapping in too. Who else was it? What was it? Was I looking for? Keyshawn, thank you too. Somebody else. And then also the lurkers, the scammers, I appreciate y'all too. Do know I do can look at the comments after this. I'm not pushing no crypto thing to y'all to tell y'all where to go, what to do, and all of that funness. At this stage of the game, as I've said before, we got other people who are more in depth. Throw those ideas out to y'all, Black Rue and King in the morning. So if you got those, like, well, what's the next meme thing to jump onto? I'm not that guy, and I'm okay with not being that guy. Again, I'm not a CPA, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a financial advisor, but this episode is brought to you by CJ, the smart guy who is a CPA. And as I said in the beginning, if you are in the American jurisdiction, make sure to cross your T's and dot your I's, man. It's what it is out here. Yes. I've seen some drone things too that, like, yeah, it definitely. Hey, what's going on, Will? Definitely looking to catch up with you too, man. But yeah, that's the end of the night. Hopefully, like I said, everybody had a good Monday, a productive over busy Monday. Hopefully your weekend was restful or at least enjoyable because you were in good company, in a safe space, and in a good place, right? But other than that, y'all have a good night, and I will catch up with y'all. Oh, it might, if I can have this conversation with my guy Nim, I will definitely end up doing something earlier in this week than usual, and we'll go from there. All right, folks. So that is the end of it. All right, y'all. One. I'm Trek with 2Ks.